An aerial tramway, cable car, ropeway or aerial tram is a type of aerial lift which uses one or two stationary ropes for support while a third moving rope provides propulsion. With this form of lift, the grip of an aerial tramway cabin is fixed onto the propulsion rope and cannot be decoupled from it during operations. Terminology. Because of the proliferation of such systems in the alpine regions of Europe, the French and German names téléphérique and Seilbahn, respectively, are often also used in an English-language context. Cable car is the usual term in British English. As in British English, the word tramway generally refers to a railed street tramway, while in American English, cable car may additionally refer to a cable-pulled street tramway with detachable vehicles, e.g., San Francisco's cable cars. As such, careful phrasing is necessary to prevent confusion. It is also sometimes called a ropeway or even incorrectly referred to as a gondola lift. A gondola lift has cabins suspended from a continuously circulating cable, whereas aerial trams simply shuttle back and forth on cables. In Japan, the two are considered as the same category of vehicle and called ropeway, while the term cable car means cable car and funicular. An aerial railway where the vehicles are suspended from a fixed track is known as a suspension railway. Overview. An aerial tramway consists of one or two fixed cables, one loop of cable, and two passenger cabins. The fixed cables provide support for the cabins, while the haulage rope, by means of a grip, is solidly connected to the truck. An electric motor drives the haulage rope, which provides propulsion. Aerial tramways are constructed as reversible systems, vehicles shuttling back and forth between two end terminals and propelled by a cable loop, which stops and reverses direction when the cabins arrive at the end stations. Aerial tramways differ from gondola lifts in that gondola lifts are considered continuous systems. Two-car tramways use a jig-back system. A large electric motor is located at the bottom of the tramway so that it effectively pulls one cabin down, using that cabin's weight to help pull the other cabin up. A similar system of cables is used in a funicular railway. The two passenger cabins, which carry from 4 to over 150 people, are situated at opposite ends of the loops of cable. Thus, while one is coming up, the other is going down the mountain, and they pass each other midway on the cable span. Some aerial trams have only one cabin, which lends itself better for systems with small elevation changes along the cable run. History. The world's first design for an aerial lift was by Croatian polymath Fausto Veranzio, who designed a bicycle passenger ropeway in 1616. Its closest relatives are the aerial tramway and the gondola lift. The first operational aerial tram was built in 1644 by Adam Weber in Gdansk. It was moved by horses and used to move soil over the river to build defenses. It is called the first known cable lift in European history and precedes the invention of steel cables. It is not known how long this lift was used. In any case, it would be another 230 years before Germany would get the second cable lift, this newer version equipped with iron wire cable. Other mining systems were developed in the 1860s by Hodgson and Andrew Smith Halliday. Halliday went on to perfect a line of mining and people tramways after 1867 in California and Nevada. See Halliday ropeway. In mining, tramways are sometimes used in mountainous regions to carry ore from a mine located high on the mountain to an ore mill located at a lower elevation. or tramways were common in the early 20th century at the mines in North and South America. One can still be seen in the San Juan Mountains of the U.S. state of Colorado. Over 1,000 mining tramways were built around the world: Spitsbergen, Russia, Alaska, Argentina, New Zealand and Gabon. This experience was replicated with the use of tramways in the First World War, particularly on the Isonzo front in Italy. The German firm of Bleikert built hundreds of freight and military tramways. Strangely, Bleikert even built the first tourist tramway at Bolzano, Bozen, in then Tyrolean Austria in 1913. Other firms entered the mining tramway business: Otto, Leschen, Brego Ropeways Limited, Cerretti and Tanfani, and Riblet for instance. A major British contributor was Bullivant, who became a constituent of British Ropes in 1924. The perfection of the aerial tramway through mining led to its application in other fields, including logging, sugar fields, beet farming, tea plantations, coffee beans and guano mining. A resource on the history of aerial tramways in the mining industry is Riding the High Wire, aerial mine tramways in the West. Moving people in the beginning of the 20th century. The rise of the middle class and the leisure industry allowed for investment in sightseeing machines. Prior to 1893, a combined goods and passenger carrying cableway was installed at Gibraltar. Initially its passengers were military personnel. An 1893 industry publication said of a 2-mile system in Hong Kong that it is the only wire tramway which has been erected exclusively for the carriage of individuals going to the Isle of Dogs by Lesser Columbus. Bullivant and Amp Co. 1893, page 10. This item can be accessed through an original held by the North of England Institute of Mining and Mechanical Engineers. After the pioneer cable car of 1907 at Mount Ulia by Torres Quevedo, others at the top of high peaks in the Alps of Austria, Germany and Switzerland resulted. They were much cheaper to build than the earlier rack railway. One of the first trams was at Chamonix, while others in Switzerland and Garmisch soon followed. For this, it was a natural transposition to build ski lifts and chair lifts. The first cable car in North America was at Cannon Mountain in Franconia, New Hampshire in 1938. After the Second World War, installations proliferated in Europe, America, Japan, Canada and South Africa. Many hundreds of installations have emerged in mountainous and seascape areas. The aerial tram evolves again in latter decades. One tram in Costa Rica was built to move tourists above a rainforest, while one in Portland, Oregon, was built to move commuters. Presently, the mining role of tramways has lessened, though some still work, and moving people remains a starring role for the device. Many aerial tramways were built by Von Roll Limited of Switzerland, which has since been acquired by Austrian lift manufacturer Doppelmayr. Other German, Swiss, and Austrian firms played an important role in the cable car business: Polig, PHB, Garaventa and Warner Biro. Now there are three groups dominating the world market: Doppelmayr, Garaventa Group, Leitner Group, and Pommer, the last two being owned by one person. An escape aerial tramway is a special form of the aerial tramway that allows a fast escape from a dangerous location. They are used on rocket launching sites to offer the launch staff or astronauts a fast retreat. The tramway consists of a rope which runs from the launch tower downward to a protection shelter. On the launch supply tower, several small cabs can be occupied by the launch staff for the astronauts. After a barrier is loosened, these roll downward to the protection construction shelter. An escape aerial tramway exists on launch pads 39A and 39B at Cape Canaveral. Some aerial tramways have their own propulsion, such as the lasso mule of the Joseph Mountain Aerial Tramway near Merano, Italy. Urban transport. While typically used for ski resorts, aerial tramways have been ported over for usage in the urban environment in recent times. The Roosevelt Island Tramway in New York City and the Portland Aerial Tram are examples where this technology has been successfully adapted for public transport purposes. In comparison to gondola lifts, aerial tramways provide lower line capacities, higher wait times, and are unable to turn corners. Telfridge. One interesting offshoot of the aerial tram was the Talfa system. This was an overhead railway, which was electrically powered. The carrier basket had a motor and two contacts on two rails. They were primarily used in English railway and postal stations. The original version was called Telfridge. Smaller Telfridge systems are sometimes used to transport objects such as tools or mail within a building or factory. The Telfridge concept was first publicized in 1883 and several experimental lines were constructed. It was not designed to compete with railways but with horses and carts. The first commercial Telfridge line was in Glynde, which is in Sussex, England. It was built to connect a newly opened clay pit to the local railway station and opened in 1885. Double-deckers. There are aerial tramways with double-deck cabins. The Vanoise Express cable car carries 200 people in each cabin at a height of 380 meters over the Ponturin Gorge in France. The Shin-Hotaka ropeway carries 121 people in each cabin at Mount Hotaka in Japan. The Cabrio cable car to the summit of the Stanzerhorn in Switzerland carries 60 persons, with the upper floor accommodating 30 people in the open air. Records. First, Adam Wybeck construction in Gdansk. It was the first rope railway with many supports and the biggest built until the end of 19th century. Longest on years operated, 35 kilometers 1906 to 1927 Chilecito, Mina la Mexicana, Argentina. 39 kilometers 1925 to 1950 Urkel, Motril, Spain. 75 kilometers 1937 to 1941 Asmara, Massawa, Eritrea, technically a Funifor. 96 kilometers 1943 to 1987 Kristineberg, Boliden, Sweden. 13.2 kilometers still working as Norso aerial ropeway. Second longest, 76 kilometers 1959 to 1986 Moanda, Mbinda, Gabon, Republic of Congo. Longest over water, 1.0 kilometers 1906 the same century, Thio, New Caledonia. Ship loading, 2.4 kilometers 1941 to 2006 Forsby Coping Limestone Cableway, Sweden. Crossing of Hjälmaren Strait, 42 kilometers system, 3.0 kilometers 2007 Nha Trang City, Vinpearl Land, Hon Tre Island, Vietnam. Total length 3.3 kilometers. Longest currently operational 13.2 kilometers Norso aerial tramway Menstraskbjerfors in Norso, Sweden. Passenger tramway, a section of the former 96 km Kristineberg-Boliden industrial ropeway. 5.7 kilometers Wings of Tatef, Armenia, the world's longest reversible cable car line of one section. 4.94 kilometers Medyushambulik tramway near Almaty, Kazakhstan. 4.35 kilometers Sandia Peak tramway, reversible tramway in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Highest lift, 3,374 meters from 1,074 to 4,448 meters at Chilecito, Mina la Mexicana, Argentina. Highest station, greater than 5,874 meters 1935 to 19. Orcanquilcha, Chile. Lowest station, 257 meters below sea level Cacophony, Israel. Tallest support tower, 113.6 meters Gletscherbahn, Austria. As mass transit, the Roosevelt-Island Tramway in New York City was the first aerial tramway in North America used by commuters as a mode of mass transit. Passengers pay with the same fare card used for the New York City subway. The Portland Aerial Tram in Portland, Oregon was opened in January 2007 and became the second public transportation aerial tramway in North America. In Medellin, Colombia, both the Metro and the recent Metro Subal aerial tramway edition can be used while paying a single fare. Largest rotating cars, Palm Springs Aerial Tramway in Palm Springs, California. List of accidents. Despite the introduction of various safety measures, there have been several serious incidents on aerial tramways, some of which were fatal. August 29, 1961, a military plane split the hauling cable of the Vallée Blanche aerial tramway on the Aiguille du Midi in the Mont Blanc Massif. 6 people killed. March 9, 1976, in the Italian Dolomites at Cavallis, a cab fell after a rope break, killing 43. Closing parenthesis. April 15, 1978, in a storm, 2 carrying ropes of the Squaw Valley aerial tramway in California fell from the aerial tramway support tower. One of the ropes partly destroyed the cabin. 4 killed, 32 injured. June 1, 1990, Tbilisi, Georgia. After the hauling rope broke, the lower car rolled back and slammed on the wall of the lower station, injuring people. The upper car subsequently rolled down, generating higher speed due to a failure of the brakes. On reaching the lower cable car support mast, it collided with the broken hauling rope, which tore the cabin apart and caused people to fall from a height of 20 meters onto rooftops and ground. 20 killed and many injured after jumping from accelerating cabin. Most of them were children celebrating Children's Day. Year before, the cable car went under major reconstruction. Also, standard Soviet gondolas were changed to bigger ones brought from Finland without any precautions. February 3, 1998, U.S. military aircraft severed the cable of an aerial ropeway in Cavallis, Italy, killing 20 people. Closing parenthesis. October 19, 2003, 4 were killed and 11 injured when 3 cars slipped off the cable of the Darjeeling ropeway. October 9, 2004, crash of a cabin of the Grunberg aerial tramway in Gmunden, Austria. Many hurt. April 18, 2006, New York's Roosevelt Island Tramway experienced a power failure, leaving 69 passengers in 2 trams stranded over the East River for approximately 7 hours. Just 8 months after a similar incident in which trams were stranded for 90 minutes. No injuries or fatalities occurred in either incident. December 31, 2012, the Alyeska Resort aerial tramway was blown sideways while operating in high winds and was impaled on the tower guide, severely damaging the contacting cabin. Only minor injuries were incurred. Gallery, Cableways in Fiction. Blind Fury, Where Eagles Dare, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Moonraker, Night Train to Munich, Ascension, Hoodwinked, Skyway to Death, Get Carter, Coal Spoil Conveyor, Blackhall Beach near Blackhall Colliery, Confrontation.